we're going to do a little test here and see what the heck this PINKWAY, this one is a PKW 63ACK. I think they have something with a G too, but this is the ACK. This has a sticker on it for 50 to 1. And we're going to see what this thing can actually do. I'm pretty sure if you're here, you've probably seen that I guess this saw went a little viral. I was looking for a new limmer, and through my searching saw this thing, and obviously I'm not gonna use that as a main saw here, but I figured I'd give it a shot as a joke and just see, maybe leave it at some other property as a backup saw or something. But I ended up getting this Husqvarna 445 for what I think is a smoking hot deal. Never been used, brand new. I paid $350, so I'll take that all day. As far as I understand, that is the same as the 450 Rancher, but not tuned. So considering it's a limmer for me, I'll take the slightly better fuel economy. So my main saw here is a Echo CS-620PW with a 24-inch blade on it, and or bar, I should say, golly. But anyways, 24-inch bar, and I don't live in a state where you need anything more than that, basically ever. So for where we are, that's a pretty big saw. So no super mega giants out here. Very few if they are, and they've got to be, you know, absolutely ancient oaks. So this PINKWAY here says it's a 63cc saw. I'm skeptical. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to say, if that is a 63cc saw, that's like saying I'm like 6'8" and absolutely ripped. So that's a no. But I would say for the price, considering, so I got this one for $130 or $140 with an extra bar and an extra chain. So, you know, I mean, even if you buy a crappy bar and a crappy chain, you know, you're getting some value out of that saw. So, I mean, I think standard these, so anyways, I think that this is probably more comparable to that. So this is only a 50cc saw. This says it's 63. I don't know. But like I say, you're only really paying what, you know, 100, 120 bucks for the actual saw itself. So, you know, if you're only paying that much, if it's even close to comparable to that 445, that's still a pretty darn good value. So rather than me just get working out here, we're in the middle of the new property we got here. Rather than me just working and it won't keep it fair and you don't know what I'm cutting versus the other log or the other tree, I found a pile of junk here we stacked up, and I'm just going to take some slices off these, trying to keep it very similar cutting, and we'll see what she's got. Now I will say, obviously, so this says it's a 63cc saw. It is light. Let's try that one more time. Same hand. I would say this Husqvarna 445 and this PINKWAY are about very close for practical purposes. Flies are coming out. I need to start getting some exhaust out here. Anyways, for practical purposes, yeah, I'd say they're, you know, and they're probably a little different, but I'd say they're darn near the same. Now, obviously, this saw here, definitely heavier, but, you know, and obviously, like, I would say, without even using the saw, the plastic's cheaper, and the buttons are going to be cheaper, and this handle's got more flex into it, it's cheaper. I would assume all the metal components are softer, but, you know, you're not going to be running this as your main saw, I wouldn't think. This is something I would guess. We're going to see if I'm right or wrong. All I've done is break this in. I haven't even taken it out and really cutting anything down with it. So, but anyways, definitely feels a little cheaper. It's about the same weight as this Husqvarna, but I would bet it would not survive getting beat on out here too much, or taking a fall off a truck or tractor or whatever. So, all right, let's. I don't even think that's a fair comparison. This is a 62cc saw, and this is supposed to be 63. But I mean, there's just no way. There's no way. But we will see. I'll start ripping it, and I will see how these stack up. I'll set up the camera too. So that was at 620, and the last one there, and there's a big clump of dirt on the bottom, so I did slow up at the end. But all right, so those were some cuts there with the 3 different saws. I wanted to do it all in the same piece, in the same size cuts, and then obviously, like I said, I slowed up at the end. I didn't want to hit that. I didn't want to get in there and mess with the chain even more. The Echo has the oldest chain on it, for sure. I had to even use it to get back here. There's some trees that fell over on the path. But anyways, that's the cut. I'll have to go back and look. Honestly, they all felt pretty decent. And when I did it, I did not push. I did not push the saw down. I kind of let the weight of the saw do the cutting. I will try and do some actual cuts with some force and see what the difference is. Alright, let's try a cut with some pressure. So you can see it bog out there. Now let's try the Husk here. See if that has more power. I'll do the same pressure. so that kind of stopped out too. The first one I got it on the dogs, so that's definitely going to bite it out. But let's see this Echo now. Like I said, I had a suspicion that 63cc saw was going to be more like a 50. So far they seem pretty close. So I pushed the same pressure and that did not bog out. But like I said, that was the oldest of the chains too, so. But anyways, I guess my assumption of that 63cc PINKWAY being closer to a better 50cc saw looks to be kind of on point. All right, let's just do some more standard cuts and I'll just keep going. I'll do a few more for with the Husk 445, and then I'll do a few more with that PINKWAY. The Echo's not even in the same league, so. But honestly, if that PINKWAY ends up being similar to that Husqvarna, that's, you know, a similar saw for a quarter of the price around that, something like that. So whether or not it's going to last that long is a completely different question. So something else I will note is for how cheap that saw is, it actually starts up pretty good. The first time I used it today, I haven't used it and I haven't turned it on for a couple weeks. Like I said, just broke it in before that. But just a few pulls and it starts. And then, let's see if you can see it here. I mean, those crappy little Chinese chains that they send with it, they're pretty decent. So, I mean, it came with a 20-inch bar, two bars, 2 chains, and they're not terrible, so they could be a lot worse. All right, let's rip this Husk again here. Alright, and remember when you're doing stuff like this to always wear your proper safety gear, like a Band-Aid and your safety squints and some gloves, you know. Obviously wear the real gear. This is for demonstration purposes only. But you could see that saw cuts pretty good, I gotta be honest with you. So if you base everything on what you paid for it, that's a pretty good saw. You know, after handling it and had it for a couple weeks now, I mean, barely used it, but I already can tell it's definitely a backup saw. Or if you lived in the burbs or something and you don't really do any of this stuff, you could buy it for like one job and it'll probably last you at least your return window in case it breaks. But it would not be a main saw, but for the money, it's surprisingly good. And anybody, all you guys watching this are probably thinking about it as a toy or something fun to try for so cheap. So in conclusion, it's a good value for the money, but if you use the saw regularly, I would think you'd be better off just buying a better saw. I mean, you know, even better than the ones I main, you know. So, but anyways, for the money, it's surprisingly good. It did the cuts. You saw it. Proof's in the pudding here. I think I tried to do a pretty darn fair comparison. I used the relatively new chain, very new chain on the Husk and the PINKWAY, and for the money, it's actually a pretty darn good saw, but it's not a lot of money. So take that as you will. We'll see you in the next one.